From our Chicago studios, this is the Muslim News on Muslim Network TV. Assalamu alaikum, I'm Samana Siddiqui. Our top story tonight. Oscar-winning American actress Susan Sarandon has accused Israel of committing war crimes. Speaking at a pro-Palestinian rally in New York on Friday, Sarandon said the October 7th Hamas attack did not happen in isolation. She stressed that Israel had committed a war crime through what she called the slaughter of children in Gaza. Sarandon emphasized that these alleged war crimes were occurring on a daily basis. Last month, she joined dozens of celebrities in signing a letter addressed to President Joe Biden. It urged Biden to push for a ceasefire in the ongoing conflict between Israel and Hamas in Gaza. Senator Jeff Merkley has become the second U.S. senator to call for a ceasefire in the ongoing Israeli war on Palestine. Merkley has called Israel's military campaign against Hamas deeply disturbing and warns of the potential for mass carnage in Gaza. The senator also says Israel is making a grave error pursuing a war that results in high civilian casualties instead of a more targeted approach against Hamas. He notes that Israel risks depleting its reserves of international support and potentially harming its economy, which could set back efforts to strengthen ties with Arab states. All hospitals in northern Gaza are now out of service, leaving civilians without essential medical care. Inside the besieged Indonesian hospital in Gaza, video footage shows extensive destruction. This includes collapsed ceilings, scattered bodies, and damaged medical equipment. Palestinian Ministry of Health spokesman Dr. Munil al-Bursh said about 550 patients are trapped and unable to receive treatment. Live fire continues to threaten those within the hospital, and a lack of electricity compounds the crisis. Around 120 patients have been transferred to Al-Nasser Hospital for urgent care. The Israeli army also detained at least 40 Palestinians from various areas across the occupied West Bank and occupied East Jerusalem, neither of which is ruled by Hamas. The Palestinian Prisoners Society reports that these new arrests bring the total number of Palestinians detained by Israeli forces since October 7th to nearly 3,000. Government media in Gaza also report 83 mosques have been destroyed by Israeli strikes since October 7th, with an additional 170 sustaining damage. South Africa has initiated legal action against Israel at the International Criminal Court in The Hague. It is seeking an investigation into alleged Israeli war crimes and crimes against humanity. President Cyril Ramaphosa has accused Israel of perpetrating genocide in Gaza, which he says has transformed into a concentration camp. The ruling African National Congress has also thrown its support behind a parliamentary initiative calling for the closure of the South African embassy in Tel Aviv. It also calls for severing all ties with Israel. South Africa is known for its unwavering support for Palestinians. It frequently criticizes Israel, drawing parallels between the Palestinian struggle and its own fight against apartheid. Last week, South Africa withdrew all of its diplomats from Israel and announced a comprehensive review of its diplomatic relations with the country. Houthi fighters intercepted a cargo ship in the Red Sea near Yemen's coast. The vessel was seized using small fast boats and subsequently boarded by uniformed armed Houthi personnel. Houthi spokesperson Yahya Sari confirmed the ship's seizure, citing its Israeli ownership as the reason. Sari earlier declared the Houthi group would not hesitate to target any Israeli vessel in the Red Sea or any reachable location. Israel has denied any connection to the ship, but publicly available shipping databases indicate it is owned by one of Israel's wealthiest individuals. The incident raises concerns of a potential escalation in Israel's violence. Israel has already extended its aggression to areas such as Lebanon, Syria, the occupied West Bank, and Gaza. The European Union Foreign Policy Chief Josep Borrell says the establishment of a Palestinian state is the most effective means of ensuring Israel's security. In a recent meeting with EU foreign ministers, Borrell emphasized the importance of a proper Palestinian state. The EU's top diplomat noted that he had drawn a fundamental political conclusion from his discussions across the region. 1.7 million Palestinians forced out of their homes in Gaza. Details after the break, so stay tuned and we'll be right back. Welcome back. The UN reports that a staggering 1.7 million Palestinians have been displaced from their homes in Gaza since... Sorry, can I do that again, please? UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres expressed grave concern over the ongoing conflict, highlighting the alarming number of civilian casualties. Guterres emphasized the urgent need for a ceasefire. The UN's monitoring team reports that about 20,000 people were forced to flee their homes on Sunday. Many of them reached Wadi Gaza using makeshift transportation, such as carts pulled by donkeys or buses, while others traveled on foot. The situation has overwhelmed the UN Relief and Works Agency for Palestinian Refugees, or UNRWA. Nearly 900,000 displaced people are seeking shelter in at least 154 facilities. The UN says these are operating far beyond their intended capacity and are unable to accommodate new arrivals. Currently, there is only one toilet for every 150 people, severely impacting the UN's ability to deliver effective and timely services. 6 more media professionals have been killed in Israeli airstrikes. Among the victims are journalists Sadi Mansour and Hassoun Salim, who were killed in the last 24 hours. They were killed during an Israeli airstrike on the Bureish refugee camp in the center of Gaza. At least 55 Palestinian media workers have been killed since October 7th. The Israeli army shelled a church in southern Lebanon with artillery shells on Monday, causing considerable damage to the building. Lebanese news agency NNA reports that the Israeli army shelled St. George's Church in the town of Yarun near the southern border. No injuries were reported. Several areas in southern Lebanon were shelled by Israeli tanks, fighter jets, and helicopters. That includes an attack on the home of Lebanese lawmaker Qabalan. On Monday, the Israeli army and Hezbollah engaged in heavy shelling in the border areas. The Israeli army has detained 880 Palestinian children since the beginning of this year, a local non-governmental organization said on Monday. The Palestinian Prisoners Society reports that more than 200 children are still in custody, including 26 in administrative detention without trial. Last month, 145 Palestinian children were detained by Israeli forces. Elon Musk's X Corp has taken legal action against Media Matters for America, alleging defamation. The lawsuit was filed on Monday in the U.S. District Court for the Northern District of Texas Fourth Worth Division. Musk's corporation claims the tactics employed by Media Matters were manipulative and deceptive. The move comes in the wake of a report by the watchdog group, which accused Musk of engaging in anti-Semitic speech and promotion. In response, Musk has banned the use of phrases such as decolonization of Israel and from the river to the sea, Palestine will be free on the X platform. Accounts found using these phrases face immediate suspension. The impact of these actions has reverberated through the corporate world. Major companies like Disney, Apple, IBM, and others have pulled their advertisements from the X platform. Media Matters released a report highlighting ads on X running adjacent to pro-Nazi content, which contributed to the advertiser exodus. Meanwhile, Texas Attorney General Ken Paxton announced on Monday that he is launching an investigation into Media Matters for potential fraudulent activity. He cited Musk's accusation that the organization had been manipulating data on the X platform as the basis for the investigation. A federal court has declared that only the U.S. Department of Justice can file lawsuits related to voting rights. The ruling by the Eighth Circuit Court of Appeals restricts the ability of individuals and interest groups to challenge discriminatory voting practices. The court's 2-1 decision argues that there is no private right of action under Section 2 of the Voting Rights Act of 1965. This section prohibits voting practices that deny citizens the right to vote based on their race, color, or membership in a linguistic minority. Judges David Strauss and Raymond Grunder supported this position, while Chief Circuit Judge Levensky Smith dissented, emphasizing that citizens should have the right to appeal. The case stemmed from a lawsuit filed by several organizations claiming a redistricting plan would affect the voting rights of African Americans in Arkansas. Critics warn this decision weakens a key protection against voting discrimination. It is likely the United States Supreme Court will hear an appeal. If the ruling is upheld, future administrations could neglect to enforce Section 2, posing a threat to fundamental freedoms. Legal experts were surprised by the court's departure from established precedent, which could undermine Voting Rights Act protections nationwide. California's Santa Clara County has reached a $90,000 settlement with Asia Aden, a Muslim woman who alleged her hijab was improperly removed during her jail booking last year. Under the terms of the settlement, the sheriff's office will collaborate with the Council on American Islamic Relations to enhance implementation of its religious service policy. Aden's hijab was taken off temporarily for a pat search by jail staff, but was returned only after her release from custody several days later. The religious service policy, now under review, permits Muslim women to retain their hijabs or receive a jail-issued religious covering while ensuring private or female-only search procedures. Care lawyer Jeffrey Wang applauded Santa Clara County's actions. He said his organization encourages other municipalities to follow suit, examining and implementing policies to safeguard everyone's constitutional rights, regardless of faith. That's all from our Chicago studios tonight. Thank you for tuning in. You can subscribe to our YouTube channel and hit the bell icon for the latest updates. For more content, keep watching Muslim Network TV or visit muslimnetwork.tv. Salam and good night.